Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood number T111. This is a door pull is what it is. The T in the part number means tubular, and tubular means that it is a hollow tube. It is not a solid piece of stainless. They most definitely make solid stainless, but they also make tubular units as well. Tubular units are a little counterintuitive in the fact that they're generally more expensive than solid, and it's because of the additional labor to get that disc welded inside of there, number one. Number two is they are, so that is possibly a downside, but the upside is that they're lighter. So over the, if you have a door that is, everything is grade 1 on the door, heaviest caliber hardware possible. Let's say the difference between this, which weighs 0.97 pound, and something that's solid, that will be 2.5 times that weight approximately. So let's just say 1.5 pounds, 4,000 cycles a week. You're moving 4,000 times 52, 208,000 cycles a year times a decade. You've got a lot of less material that's being moved. Less wear and tear on the hinges, less wear and tear on the frame, the door closer most definitely as well. So it would be advantageous to think about the weight of the door as you take a otherwise already heavy door. Let's say you have a 3870 16 gauge steel stiffened door, which is already really heavy for a surface closer, and then you have an armor plate, and then you have you might have some unusual requirements in terms of a glass that's in the door. Start to think about what's the weight of all the components, and that might be where a tubular pull comes in. So that's why this might be appropriate to use. Okay, there's no way to tell that it's not a solid bar really at all. It does seem to bend a little bit differently here in their tube bending machine. It seems to get a little smaller as it gets probably wider here, but it's really imperceptible. Okay, why you would pick a tubular style pull? Weight. I can't tell you that there's a reason to have a solid bar on the door. I can't think of a reason not to use a tubular bar. So this is the T111, and that means a couple of things. That means that this is 10-inch center to center. Okay, 10-inch center to center. The overall length is going to be 11-inch, and that's because the bar diameter is 1 inch. Okay, the projection from what would be the face of the door looks like it's about 3.5, I think is what they're going for. Yeah, 3.5. That means that the clearance is 2.5 inch. They will call this a barrier-free pull or a handicap-compliant pull, and as far as I know, nowhere in any code does it tell us that 2.5 inches is the clearance. But from what I can tell, it's the industry-accepted standard, and from what I am to understand, that's not been challenged, and it stands. So there you go. So this is a T111 and a 630 finish. That means that it's stainless steel. The base material is stainless, and that it is in a brushed finish. Okay, this client ordered this as a Type 1, which means there are 1/4 through bolts and these finish washers. Number 3 Phillips. When you drill that hole through the door, you're just going to have that finish washer on the outside. That's a very typical and standard item. Another reason to have tubular would be perhaps if you're dealing with with push bars. Imagine if this was 33-inch center to center, or maybe if this was 60-inch in length. Now you really start to talk about some different weight, and it could be that at a point the quantity of tubular material and the labor required no longer outpaces the cost of solid bar. So there could be an advantage when you get into larger pieces of hardware. Let's switch now to the screen view and take a closer look at the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is the item that we are looking at. We have some images linked to down below. There's your packaging. an end view, elevation perspective. One showing the screw package. That doesn't apply. And we have another set of images here. Brighter image here showing the finish. Just that bend in the area here. Showing our added in disc with the tapped hole that's been probably welded in and then ground smooth. Your screw package is there as well. Okay, so as we look at the extended description here, we'll see that we have a 1-inch diameter pole, 10-inch centers, 3.5 by 2.5. The dimensional properties. Type 1 through bolt. Let's talk about the different mounting possibilities, but before we do so, always indicate the thickness of the door in the comment field. If you order a Type 1, they're going to assume that your door is 1 3/4. And it may not be. It may be 2 1/4. It might be 1 3/8. So indicate that. There is sometimes an additional charge for longer or shorter bolts, but not always. Let's take a look at the mounting type. So we have mounting types listed here. Thankfully, there is a cut sheet that's here, mounting options, and this will talk about the different ways to mount these poles. So the Type 1, again, is that through bolt. You can do it in a 1/4 20 or a 5/16. It'd be a 1 HD. You have the... You can do the same version of this, and it's not listed here, but you could do this Type 15 with a decorative through bolt cap for a 1 3/4 or thickness door other than 1/2 inch glass or 5/8 glass, whatever the glass thickness is, 1/2 inch typically. That would be a Type 12. So you'd get this Type 1 with a decorative cap on the outside. Type 12, I'll have to have Type 12 added here because that's certainly available. Single for glass doors, back-to-back options for wood, steel, aluminum doors, glass doors here as well. Surface concealed is here. You're going to drill and tap that into an aluminum or a reinforced aluminum or reinforced hollow metal door. They can also do this for a wood door. I think that's a Type 8 would be that option. So if you don't see what you want listed here, let us know and we'll review compatibility. They can't do, actually, I don't know if they can do a Type 5 in this tubular material. Well, we have it listed here, so they must do something to accommodate that as a Type 5. Okay, with that disc that's just welded in there, that may not be as simple as we think it is. With this disc. So obviously this must be thicker than we imagine it, meaning obviously we have threads here, so that could be every bit of 3/8 thick, or thicker. I don't know if that is shaped like a... I don't know if that disc is shaped like a hat, or if it's just a lug. Then you've got your threads here. Okay. That back-to-back is going to require that set screw come in there. So that it obviously has to be like that. Okay, so mounting types, and I'll show you where there are additional resources for that mounting type explanation as well. Product brochure is here. That's going to allow you to look at the tubular series of poles from Rockwood. The only difference between all these part numbers listed is simply the size. Suffice it to say that they can do really any size that you want, as long as they've got the material. If you had a 10-foot tall door and you might say, well, 10-inch, 12-inch would be good for 7-foot. 18 might be okay for an 8-foot door, but I really would like a 30-inch pole because I have 10-foot tall doors. And you simply want the hardware to, be somewhat proportional. If you've got a door with a pole, then you've got a door with a pole, You know, you might say to yourself, well, true, but let's do something more like that. Suffice it to say, Rockwood can accommodate that. I wouldn't see any limitation as to the size that they can do. It might be 8 foot or 10 foot based on the available material, stock that they have to work with. So suffice it to say, just because these sizes are here, when it comes to Rockwood, you are not limited to what's here. I routinely order off the menu, so to speak, with Rockwood, and they almost always can oblige. It's very rare when they can't make something for me. T-Series, made from 065 thick wall tubing, so basically a 1/16 of an inch thick. Solid brass or stainless steel inserts are brazed into the ends to provide a solid area for our guaranteed mounting systems. Benefits of specifying T-Series, they weigh less, 25% in fact, than their solid counterparts. I would guess it to be more than that. This 75% weight reduction greatly reduces the environmental... There must be a typo here. So I'm thinking that it's 75% here, and that greatly reduces the environmental impact of harvesting material. Well, maybe it's not. I'm having trouble making sense out of that line. Anyway, okay, so they're saying, you know, when they go to recycle this material, because of the fact that it weighs less is going to require less energy to reprocess it as well. The lighter weight minimizes the risk and damage in handling. Okay, sure. They could just say, we're going to package our material so that it's not going to run the risk of damage in shipping and handling. The cost of most tubular poles represents a significant savings over the equivalent solid model. I don't find that to be true. You can do your own analysis. Considering all the benefits, the T-Series offers an improved value without quality sacrifice. That I agree with. You can also do them in offset poles as well. So an offset pole is, rather than just have your... Okay, where it literally just looks like that. You could also have this in the same sort of bar, but now it's going to look like that because it's an offset bar. So it'll look like that from a cross-section sort of view. You know, your door is here. They can do this out of brass, bronze, and stainless. The finish, the mounting types we've discussed. 2.5 inches barrier-free, so if you want it to be 2.5, make it TBF, then your part number. They ship this out as a barrier-free model without me specifying the BF. That's not going to be a problem. We're not going to call them out on that what they sent us isn't a 2-inch clearance. It's really 2.5. But nonetheless, this is, you know, I've seen that happen before. They've sent out material that is, you know, the 2.5-inch clearance when it's not been ordered that way. Not a problem. I've never had a problem to point to this point. There is a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page, and when you click on that, you'll be able to pull up this page, which lists a link to the Rockwood website, their full-line product catalog, which I would suggest that you review. It will certainly have the T111 in it. Do a search on your keyboard, a find function on your keyboard, and you'll find these T111s. And you'll obviously be in that section of the catalog that will show all of the sister products to it as well. There's also on this page, I had mentioned earlier, mounting kit parts master table. When you fire that up, and you get to the end of that catalog, they're going to list all of these different mounting types. It's an encyclopedic document when it comes to that. And then we're going to list all of the constituent bolt parts. So for this item, you've got a couple of SP1024s and the 630 finish, and then a couple of SP1025s. Pardon me, 1005s. SP1004, SP1005. So if you broke a bolt, this would be the bolt that you'd need to order. And that's for all of the mounting types here. All the different bolt packages are listed here. Okay, let's wrap up this video on camera. All right, so here's the pull. You know, in spite of the fact that it's really a TBF 111, you know, we're going to let that just slide because the client's not, you know, they're not going to call a foul for that reason. Now, if we were matching on this job, I know it's a new installation. It's actually a single door that has a T111 and then an RM1010 push plate below it, which is a 4x22 push. It's a single door. They're not matching anything else. You know, it is a public space, so there's an advantage of it being sent as barrier-free. So there you go. The name Rockwood is quite synonymous, as I had said earlier, about a company who is very, very willing to entertain custom requests. I continue to ask them. Here, I've got a prime example of it. I know that I have a video on this somewhere. There's a Rixson who is a sister company to Rockwood. Rixson many years ago made some electromagnetic deadbolts. There is a solenoid. So let's not call it electromagnetic. There's a magnetic field that's created in the solenoid. So it's a solenoid-driven product. And it was their Rixson 401, an electric deadbolt. Well, they stopped making those a long time ago. And one of my favorite electrified hardware companies is SDC, unrelated to Rockwood or Assa Abloy. SDC makes a whole complement of electric deadbolts. The Rixson 401 had like a 9-inch by 1.5-inch wide faceplate. Nobody makes this size. No one. Well, SDC makes the electric deadbolt with the same capability. Okay? SDC makes the deadbolt. It's just not in the right size. Well, here comes Rockwood. Took all the dimensions from the SDC plate, mimicked everything here, changed the height, changed the width, gave me the mounting position that is original per the Rixson, swapped the plates out after having to drill and tap that hole, which is a 3/4 27 thread. And voila, you've got a Rixson 401. Okay, works really perfectly. So my point is Rockwood has made a couple of sets of these plates for me, and other things. You know, if they've got something, they can modify it. Is the bottom line. So I'm partial to Rockwood for not only that reason, but because the fit and finish is always very good on the product. Their shipping lead times is prompt, reliable, predictable, excellent customer service, tech support, the whole 9 yards. Any questions on the T111 and a 630 finish or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.